I am 75 and I'm sharing 7 things that I have never done in all of my life that most people consider completely normal. Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. Well, most of you know that I have led a very sheltered life. And because of that, I didn't experience a lot. So I thought I'd have a little fun today and share 7 things that most people have done at least once in their life. And it's considered completely normal, but I've never done them. And trust me, I have more than 7 things, but I want to keep this video short. Now, I'm not talking about things that, a lot of people do, like, I don't know, go skiing, maybe skydive, take a cruise. I'm not talking about those kind of things. I'm talking about things that are perfectly normal things, but just have never been a part of my life. So let me start with number 1, and that is I have never been to a concert. Now, back when I was a teenager, different bands would come to town, and that was kind of a big thing to do. Teenagers loved going to concerts, and they just had a great time and would get so excited over it and everything. I've never been to a concert. I never went when I was a teenager, and all throughout my life, I just never went. I wasn't interested. I like music, I love to dance, but I was never interested in going to a concert. How about you? Have you been to a concert? I'm sure most people have at least once. But this girl, no. Number 2, I never went drinking or even went to a bar. Now, what I mean by went drinking, back when I was a teenager and in high school, the kids would go drinking. They would say, well, what do you want to do tonight? They would get together on the weekends and they would get all excited, get a little group of friends together and say, well, let's go drinking this weekend. And so they would find somebody that was old enough to buy a beer, a 6-pack of beer or whatever they needed, and they would go drinking. It was just, I guess, a normal part of life back then for teenagers to do. I've never done that. Nobody ever asked me to. I just never went drinking or snuck and drank. I had no interest in it at all. And as far as going to a bar, I would imagine that it's perfectly normal for people to go to a bar, that most people, at least once in their life, went to a bar to get a mixed drink. I've never done that. Well, if you don't drink, why would you even think to do that? But again, sometimes people, they might not be drinkers, but they just want to experience that, or they think, oh, I'm of age. Let me just go. Now that I turned 21 or whatever, I'm going to go to the bar and have a drink, my first drink. But I never thought that way when I turned 21 or whatever the age was back then. I just wasn't interested in it. I can remember my brother and sister going out with my dad to get their first drink, when they were of age. Now, trust me, it really wasn't their first drink because they snuck and drank all the time with their friends. And my dad drank. My mother had her highballs on the weekends when they went dancing. So it's not like, I grew up in a family of tea drinkers or anything like that. It was just something that I was never interested in trying. Number 3, I've never had a pedicure. Not ever. And I feel like most people have had at least one in their life. At least maybe they tried it. And I know people that go every week and do it. And I don't blame them. I think it's fine. I bet it feels good. And you know it has to look good. But I just was never interested in it. And about 3 years ago, I considered it because someone had given me a gift certificate to go get a manicure or pedicure at a local place here. And so I thought about it and thought, I've never done that. It's free. I have a gift certificate. Why don't I go try it? Here I am, 3 years later, still haven't gone. And now my darn certificate expired. But honestly, it's just something I've never had the desire to do. Now, I will tell you, once in my life, I had a manicure. It was when my youngest son was getting married. So I went somewhere and they, do whatever they do with your nails. And then I had a clear polish put on them. But that was the one and only time I did that. And I've never had an interest to go back and do it again. Number four, I have never dated around. Now, what I mean by that is back when I was in high school, a lot of girls dated around, which just meant, if a guy asked them out on a date, they might go if they like the person or think they like them. They might go out with that guy one time and then, they're not interested. And then they might go out with another guy and they may go out with that person for 3 or 4 or 5 times and then stop that. Or they may go out with someone and they end up like boyfriend, girlfriend for 6 months or a year or whatever. But they had, several dates. I never did. I've never been on a date with anyone except my first husband and then Dave. And with my first husband, we were young. He didn't have his own car, he had a moped. So he came over to my house and we would just kind of hang out with my family. Those were our dates because, if you don't have a car, what can you do? And if you don't have the money to do anything, what can you do? So we would just hang out at my house with my family. Then when I met Dave, he asked me out to go play tennis. Well, of course, I had never played tennis before, but he said he would teach me. So we went and played tennis. And then after that, let me see, he took me out for my birthday like 2 weeks later. And then two other times we did something. I know we went to a company picnic once, and I can't remember the other thing. And then that was it. We got married 2.5 months after we dated. So that was the end of it. But when you think about it, you think, okay, I have been in this world for 75 years and I never dated anybody except the two people I married. It just sounds odd, but seemed normal to me. Number five, I have never had a girls' trip. Have any of you had a girls' trip? I hear people talking about that and planning it and saying, oh, I went on a girls' trip last year, or I'm going on a girls' trip next month with a couple girls, and, on and on. I've never even considered that. I don't know. It just didn't seem like it would be something that was interesting to me. Nobody's ever invited me on a girls' trip, and I've never decided to myself, oh, I'd like to plan a girls' trip. It just isn't who I am. I'm more of a homebody. I like my little sheltered life, and it's just something that's never been part of my life. Number six, I have never spent a Christmas or a Thanksgiving alone, ever. in the 75 years I've been on this earth, and I'm thankful for that. Now, that's not to say in the future I won't. I don't have any control over that. But I'm very, very thankful that I have never spent a Christmas or a Thanksgiving alone. You know, holidays, I don't celebrate them like I used to, but they're very special to me. It has a deep meaning. And really, it's all about love and sharing love with someone. And whether that be your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, a friend, or a neighbor, sharing a holiday is a wonderful part of life. I'm so thankful I've always had someone to share the holidays with. Now, I know many people have spent Christmas and Thanksgiving alone, and it doesn't bother them. I mean, maybe some people it bothers, but it doesn't bother them. You know, they're perfectly fine. And I could understand where you could be fine, but it's just not something that I want. I want to show love and feel love and share that with somebody. That's important to me. And number 7, I have never lived alone a day in my life. Growing up, I lived with my family. I left my family and went straight to marriage at 18 years old. I lived with my first husband for 12 years. And then I married Dave, and I've lived with him for almost 44 years now. I have never lived alone. Now, the 1 year between my first husband and Dave, when I left my first husband, I wasn't with a husband, but I lived, of course, with my 3 children. We all lived in the same house. We all lived together. So I was not alone. I just can't believe that I've never lived a day alone. But maybe many of you haven't. I know there are many people that may end up, getting married and having a family or a career or whatever you choose, but maybe they had an apartment for a while or, they, for whatever reason, lived alone for a while. It just never happened for me. I'm not complaining about that. In fact, I love it. I love knowing that I have shared my life with someone every single day of my life. Also, of course, I never had my own room. Growing up, me and my sister shared a room. And then when I got married, I shared the room with my husband. Since Dave and I have been married for almost 44 years, I've shared the room with him. One time for that year in between Dave and my first husband, I had my own room, believe it or not. Yes, I had my own bedroom. And so at least I can say I had my own room for 1 year. Now I want to hear from you. Can you relate to any of this? Have any of you not experienced the 7 things that I just talked about that I've never done in my life? Or is there something that you've never done and you want to share it? I think it would be fun to read the comments and learn more about each other. See how we view life and how we've lived and how we've managed our own lives. I think that would be so much fun. I can tell you for sure, I have loved my sheltered life. It's never been a negative for me. It's been nothing but a positive. A sheltered life is not a small life. It's a simple life. And all it means is you just didn't experience much. Now, do I feel like I lost out or missed out? No way. How do you miss out on things that you've never had? You've never taken a part in. I haven't missed anything. I've had exactly what I wanted. Growing up, all I ever wanted to be was a wife, a mother, a homemaker, not cooking, but a homemaker, and have a simple life. I didn't want a lot in my life, but I wanted my life to be big and full, and it has been. It's been big and full with what I have placed in my life, with my family, with love, with friends, with neighbors. I've had a very big life, and I'm thankful for it. Some people might think, oh, girl, where have you been? You've lived under a rock. Maybe I have, but you know what? I've enjoyed it. I really have. What would any of these things do to enhance my life? I mean, honestly, if I had whatever, gone drinking or tried alcohol or something like that, I mean, would it really change my life and do something to better my life? No, I'm not saying it would hurt your life, but if you're not interested in something, you're just not interested. As the saying goes, different strokes for different folks. And as I have said before on this channel, I know I dance to the beat of a different drummer. And that's okay, because it's my drummer and it works for me. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to an inside beauty tip. My inside beauty tip comes from Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either one of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. That's the way I view life. Two are better than one. And I'm not saying it has to be a man and a woman, a husband and a wife. It could be your best friend. It could be anybody. But partnering up in life will enrich your life and will enrich the other person's life. I have always been thankful for having people in my life that I know are there for me, and they know I am there for them. I like being surrounded by love. Love of family, love of friends, love of neighbor, love of church, love of anybody. It makes me feel just complete and satisfied and content. I know there are many people out there today that are solo and they want to be solo. I can't stand that word solo, but that's the buzzword. That's what they use. And that's fine if it works for them. That would be a very empty, unfulfilling life for me. And people sometimes brag about it and say, well, I'm an independent woman and I can take care of myself and I don't need anybody in my life. And, I have this wonderful life being solo. Okay, I'm glad you're happy with it, but that would never work for someone like me. I feel we are here to be together. We were not meant to be alone. We are here to partner up in our life with whoever or whatever, your church, your mentor, your family, it doesn't matter. But to be there for other people. Some people may think, oh my gosh, that girl must be really dependent. I mean, she's been with somebody her entire life. Well, no, I can be independent. Trust me. If I need to be and wanted to be, I certainly could. If I was by myself, I could take care of myself. I have good common sense. I know how to make decisions. I know how to make things work. I don't want to be independent. Many people wear that as a badge of honor. Why? Why is that a badge of honor? What are people trying to prove? We all can take care of ourselves if and when we have to. But I want a partner in life always. I know I can call my kids and have any conversation with them. I can get advice from them. I can get guidance from them. I can give guidance to them. They're part of my life and always will be. I can call my grandchildren and get the same. My brother, a friend, it doesn't matter. Partnering up in life when there are two is is a life of love, and that matters to me. I thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate it. And until we meet again, this is the old girl signing out. See ya.